Oh my God, you gotta stop that now.
You ready?
Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. Through storytelling and conversational interviews, this weekly radio show and podcast offers listeners an insider's view into starting and running a business, the ups and downs of risk-taking, and the commonalities of successful people. Connect with Kerry through her candid, often funny, and always informative weekly blog. There you'll read, learn, and may comment about her life as a 21st century wife, mother, daughter, and entrepreneur. And now it's time for Kerry McCoy to get all up in your business.
Thank you, Son Gray. If right now you're sitting at your computer, you might want to watch us live on Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy's Facebook page. I'm waving at everybody. But if you miss it, no worries. A YouTube video will be made available next week. This show began as a calling. After 4 decades of running a small business called Arkansas Flag and Banner, a.k.a. flagandbanner.com, since 1995. That's a long time ago. I felt I had something to share with other people. I wanted to create a platform for not just me, but other business owners and successful people and interesting people to pay forward their experiential knowledge in a conversational way. Originally, my team and I thought we'd be teaching others. But it didn't take long before we realized the person's learning was us. Listening to our guests has been both educational and inspiring. To quote the Dalai Lama, when you talk, you are only repeating what you already know. But if you listen, you may learn something new. The act of listening is learning. A Greek philosopher, Diogenes, wrote, "We have 2 ears and 1 tongue, so that we may listen more." After listening to over 150 successful people, I've learned that many of my guests believe in a higher power, have the heart of a teacher, and are creative at building their lives and their careers. Before we start, I want to let you know if you miss any part of today's show, want to hear it again, or share it, there's a way, and Gray will tell you how.
Listen to all UIYB past and present interviews by going to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy's YouTube channel, Facebook page, arkansasonline.com, flagandbanner.com's website, or subscribe to our podcast wherever you like to listen by searching Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy. And if you would like to receive timely email notifications about each week's upcoming guests, go to flagandbanner.com, click Radio Show, and join the email list. Back to you, Kerry.
Thank you, Gray. It was April the 24th, 2018, that the Arkansas Repertory Theater shocked the city of Little Rock by announcing it was suspending production, citing financial difficulties. For months, the citizens held their breath and awaited, while a $2.3 million fundraising campaign was launched to save Arkansas's longest-running nonprofit theater. Alas, 10 months later, in January of 2019, the Arkansas Repertory Theater announced Mr. William Trice would begin serving at Summer's End as its new executive artistic director. A sigh of relief could be heard across the state of Arkansas. Known by many, Will is an Arkansas native who understands his audience. He is also a big-time New York City Broadway producer who has won 3 Tony Awards and been nominated for 5 more. And just to make him an even more perfect candidate for the job of saving this Arkansas treasure, Trice has prior work experience as a business analyst for the management consulting firm McKinsey & Company. It is a pleasure to welcome to the table the state's own ambitious, accomplished, new executive artistic director of the Arkansas Repertory Theater, Mr. William Trice. Savior!
Oh my God, you gotta stop that now. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. You probably grew up performing in the Arkansas Repertory Theater.
A little bit, not a lot. Not until high school did I actually ever perform there. The first time was actually in the Gridiron. My family was involved a lot in the Gridiron, and at a certain point in the Gridiron's history, it began to be hosted by the Rep.
And the Gridiron is what the Lawyers Association does?
Yeah, it was put on by the Bar Association, and it
to raise money.
to raise money and just skewer
Spoof.
local politicians and judges, and my family was always a big part of that. And so I really grew up just playing backstage and in the storage areas of the building while they were all rehearsing. When I was in middle school, they had me on as a little cameo playing Dan Quayle, it was during that kind of period, and then on the actual kind of rep stage when I was in high school, I was in a production of Lost in Yonkers. But that was really my only kind of performance experience there.
I call that growing up in that theater.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So let's speak about your mom and dad. I just met you today, about 30 minutes ago. But I know your mom and dad. They have a legacy here in Little Rock.
Yeah,
as theater people.
For sure. And yeah, very, I think, active in the local theater community, which is a very kind of thriving community.
Judy Trice.
Judy Trice.
And you're named after your father, I guess.
Yep. I'm Will. He was Bill. He was an attorney, but also kind of very active, kind of avocational performer.
That's why you were in the Gridiron, because he was an attorney.
Absolutely.
And then your mother's theater.
And then my mother, she started out in broadcasting, actually, and was on Channel 7 here before I was born.
A weather woman? No.
She did the weather. She had like a noon show. There was like a dance party show at one point.
American Bandstand, Arkansas Bandstand.
Well, there was a show called the Vic Ames Show.
Yeah.
And she was like the co-host of that and would sing on it and stuff. This was all, way pre-me. And then she wound up going back to school and became a teacher. And she taught at Hall High School, and she taught drama for a long time.
A drama teacher, not a music teacher?
She taught drama for a long time, and then she moved over to English. And then she retired in the mid-'90s, but has continued to act in movies and at the Rep and at other theaters in town.
So I met her because of the work that she does at Summer. What's the name of that thing you go to, Gray?
Arkansas Interfaith Conference Choir Camp.
Yeah.
Choir camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, summer choir camp.
For sure. I grew up going there too.
And that's how I met your mother, because she was always playing the piano.
Yeah.
So your mother's in theater, but you did not look like to me that you went to school for theater.
No.
Where'd you go to? You went to Southern Methodist and Northwestern University. What did you study?
In undergrad, I studied music.
Oh, you did?
I was a business minor. And also a theater minor, I guess.
So you did study.
Yeah. But then
Aren't those right and left brains? I'm not getting that.
That's the fun part. It's kind of going back and forth between the two. But I didn't go into it at all, into the arts after school. I sort of went right into corporate America. That was at McKinsey, you mentioned.
And McKinsey had a big customer. Opera. Didn't they have a big Metropolitan Opera?
I don't know that they've ever done work for the Met. Coincidentally, I was in their Dallas office, and they did, while I was there, got to do some pro bono work for the Dallas Opera. But it was a lot of retail and kind of automotive parts washers and petroleum processors and all kinds of crazy stuff. I wound up working for the Met later. But that was unrelated.
As an analyst for them?
Sort. I was in the artistic department, just kind of.
So when we come back, we're going to take a really quick break. But when we come back, we are going to find out all about how you became a Tony Award-winning producer on Broadway, how you ended up in New York City. Then I want to hear about the day that you came home, that you heard that you were going to come home, and the day you decided, and what went through your mind when you decided to do that. We'll come back. We'll continue our conversation with Mr. Will Trice, Executive Artistic Director for the Arkansas Repertory Theater in downtown Little Rock. More to come. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. Over 40 years ago, with only $400, Kerry founded Arkansas Flag and Banner. During the last 4 decades, the business has grown and changed. Over this time, Kerry's business and leadership knowledge grew. As early as 2004, she began sharing her knowledge in her weekly blog. In 2009, she founded the nonprofit Friends of Dreamland Ballroom, and in 2014, Brave Magazine, a biannual publication. Today, she has branched out into this very radio show, YouTube channel, and podcast. Each week, you'll hear candid conversations between her and her guests about real-world experiences on a variety of businesses and topics that we hope you'll find interesting, inspiring, and educational. Stay up to date by going to flagandbanner.com and joining our email list. You'll receive our popular Water Cooler Weekly email that notifies you of upcoming guests, happenings at Dreamland Ballroom, sales at flagandbanner.com, access to Brave Magazine articles, and Kerry's current blog post. All that in one weekly email. Telling American-made stories, selling American-made flags. TheFlagandBanner.com. Back to you, Kerry.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy, and I'm speaking today with Mr. Will Trice, Executive Artistic Director for the Arkansas Repertory Theater in downtown Little Rock, Arkansas. And that theater is the longest-running nonprofit in Arkansas longest-running nonprofit theater in Arkansas. So Will told us before the break that he sort of grew up in that theater. Tell me about the day you decided you're living in New York City. Tell me about the day that you heard about the Rips troubles and you decided that you decided you might apply for the job, or how it came about that you were going to apply for the job, or
it was actually like very gradual. There wasn't like a day when it sort of happened.
I remember where I was the day that that I found out the Rep was closing.
Yeah, I certainly remember hearing the news and being very kind of shocked and concerned. I didn't start talking with them until later, and in that context, it was very much is there anything I can do to help? Do you want to send me some financials to look at? Do you want, but just kind of a very general conversation with Cliff Baker and with Ruth Shepard, and who's the board chair.
And Cliff's the founder.
And Cliff, founding artistic director. And this was prior to his very unfortunate, unexpected passing. And then I think kind of that conversation started to shift as we kept talking towards this, well, are you going to come run it kind of thing. And it took a bit to fully consider that and talk to my husband about it. And we had already had sort of vague plans to move, to leave New York, and just try something new in life.
But not to
and
Arkansas.
But it wasn't going to be here. So, talk it over, and, this opportunity comes up, and opportunity that is sort of about making sure that your hometown, stays thriving and has a good quality of life. And
what did he say when you said, honey, I've got a job offer in Arkansas? Where's he from? New York?
He's from Austin, actually.
Oh, so that's not too far.
Yeah, no. And, he's always liked it here, and we've always had a lot of friends here and family here and stuff. So, but it was definitely so I'm having this phone call. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but just planting this idea in your head,
and he
let
said
it
no.
germinate.
First thing he said was no?
No, it was just there's nothing on the table right now. I'm just saying, like, there's a conversation happening, and it was like, okay. And then, like, a couple of weeks later, I sort of said again, so I'm having another one of those conversations. And so that process was a very gradual one as well, until I think we finally both, and I think the rep on their side kind of all sort of got more comfortable with the idea of it and excited about the idea of it.
They probably weren't planning on you to come back either. That, like you said, it's probably an evolution. It's kind of like destiny. You start talking about, can I help with the financials, because you're a business analyst.
Right, exactly.
And then all of a sudden they're like, well, why are we looking anywhere else? Did you tell your husband that Little Rock is the new Austin?
Give us time.
It is.
Do we really want that kind of cost of living increase? I don't know.
It really is, though. The music here is really good.
Oh, yeah. Always has been.
So when you got those financials and you're looking at what was the biggest hurdle? What's the rep's biggest hurdle?
Well, it was then and what it is now. We have significant operating costs every year just to run. And if you think about sort of any business expenses for any kind of business sort of falling into either the categories of sort of capital investments or running costs.
When was the last time the rep raised their ticket price?
Well, when I came.
Thank you.
I don't know before that.
Probably never.
But yeah, we have done some. I say we raised certain prices and we lowered other prices to try to do what you do with pricing, which is to encourage good buying patterns.
If your cost of goods are going up, your salaries are going up, your cost of doing business is going up, how can you not raise prices every year to keep up with that? You can't go to the movie theater for the price that you can go to the Rep and see a live performance.
That's right. But I would say, kind of the definition of pricing strategy, it can never be cost-based. If we actually priced our tickets at what it costs to put it on, they'd be, I don't know, $150, $200 a ticket.
Right.
They'd be like what they are in New York, which are for-profit theater ventures, right?
Why
That's
can't
what
you
I was
that?
doing. Well, because what pricing really is market-based. It's what the market will shoulder, and how many people here would be able to come. I mean, even our prices the way they are now are not accessible to everyone. But I think even your sort of average entertainment buyer here isn't going to spend that kind of money to go to the theater.
I think everybody in town, we have like 7 theaters in town. It's kind of crazy how many theaters there are. But everybody in town sets their theater prices around what the Rep sets their theater prices. And it's hurting them.
Yeah.
Whatever your price is, that's what everybody else is going to set it at. To me, we should have a long conversation after this show to talk about why can't you have a $100 ticket price and make it very elitist and then give tickets away?
That's a way to approach it. But I think what happens instead, and what kind of the traditional way of approaching it is you sort of set your average ticket price at a point that you think that the market will allow, and you make up for the difference in the cost with contributions. And I think for a healthy institutional theater like the Rep to run, it's about a 50-50 split.
That's what I was going to ask you that. So it's 50% of your income comes from should come from ticket sales, and 50% of your income should come from private donations.
And these are very general kind of rules of thumb.
So concession,
and every theater's different, every market's different,
but concession doesn't do anything.
We do a little bit, and I think there's kind of actually room to grow there, but it's on the margin.
Cliff Baker, is this his vision? Who started in 1976? Yeah. Is this his vision? What's his vision? You got to speak with him before he passed this year.
Sure.
So what was his vision?
For the theater in general? I think it was to have quality, professional, vibrant, engaging theater year-round.
What's the name of the genre that you're? Is it a professional? Is it amateur? Is it?
We are professional.
It's a professional theater. Is it the only professional theater in the state of Arkansas besides the Walton Arts Center? Maybe.
No,
that's not a theater.
And there are actually sort of different definitions of professional. I mean, there are. If you pay anyone anything, you could say that it's sort of a professional theater, but. We are another way you could look at it is we are a union house. Theater is a very union-driven industry. And there are 3 of those that are sort of kind of big union theaters that actually 4.
Argenta?
No, Argenta is a community theater.
Okay.
And I think they do pay a certain amount, but it's for the most part local and community-based.
So be Robinson.
So Robinson's a different beast altogether.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
What's that
so
called?
the ones kind of in our category, the ones closest to us would be Theater Squared up in Fayetteville, and the Arkansas Shakespeare Theater in Conway. We're all equity houses. There's also Murray's Dinner
That's
Theater
right.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a good number of great community theaters, and some of which will bring in a couple of professional artists to work with local amateur artists, and so yeah,
So we got
those can look a
professional,
lot of different
community,
ways.
and then what's Robinson considered?
So Robbins is a you could say is a presenting organization instead of a producing one. So
so they present things. They let touring groups come there and they give them a stage to perform on.
That's right. So it's a company out of Tulsa called Celebrity Attractions, and they have a series of Broadway tours that come, and then Robinson is the venue, and Celebrity Attractions is the company that
makes total sense.
presents them.
Presenting. So every time I think about you leaving New York City, I think, how could you do that? So leaving New York had to be hard. You were talking about
I don't know. I was there.
You had such an accomplished career there.
Yeah, and I was there for 15 years, and I did, particularly in those last 10 when I was working and producing, were great. But I think also you accomplish one of your lifelong dreams, and then you go, okay, well now what? And do you want to just kind of keep doing that again and again, or do you just want to do something different? Do you want to live somewhere different? Do you want to have a different kind of quality of life and just a different kind of experience?
You had nearly 30 productions on Broadway and were nominated and won 3 Tony Awards. How do you find out when you're nominated for a Tony Award? Do they call you? They send you an email? They text you?
There's a press conference.
You sit there and watch the press conference.
Yeah.
You're just sitting. You don't know before that happens.
Nope.
And so, what did you do? Like wet your pants when they name your name?
The first time? Well, I mean, they don't name my name.
They say the play.
I won those in the context of producing, so that it takes a village. So it's really the show that wins the Tony. And
what was the show?
So my first one was for the Gershwin's Porgy and Bess, and then for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which was for the comment from the last guy we were talking to originated at the Steppenwolf in Chicago.
Yeah, sure, Steppenwolf Theater. Oh, with Dave Ellswick, the guy we were talking to earlier. Mm-hmm.
And then All the Way, which was about LBJ with Bryan Cranston.
So you're sitting in the audience. So okay, that's how you find out. You're sitting in the audience.
Or you're watching it, or actually you can also just wait for the blogs to update.
And your friend and all of you, how many producers are on a play?
It varies dramatically, and there's kind of different meanings to producing.
What was your meaning?
I was a kind of the associate lead producer on all of those. I was the junior partner in a lead producing office. So we would be the ones that originate the projects. We literally form LLCs for each show. We get the rights to the material. We hire artists, we hire management, we hire accountants, we hire advertising agencies. Then we go about and raise the capital.
And then you get the actors.
And we do the major casting.
The last thing is to get the actors.
Well, actually, it's often one of the first things. You're not going to go forward unless you have.
They know who's got the name
unless
on
you
it.
have a star often. And then we'll raise the capital, and so there's producing that is a little it's a little more passive, sort of participation in the kind of day-to-day management of the show. But you're also a producer. You're also sort of making it happen.
Yeah.
But it's a little less passive. So when you're one of the lead producers, we're literally like all day, every day, like managing the show.
But you don't go out there and say, stage left, go to the right. You don't tell the actors where to go.
No, we're
literally
we're desk jockeys. Yeah.
Yes. You met James Earl Jones.
Yes.
Tell me.
Oh yeah, I mean,
he's just awesome.
He's amazing. He's everything you.
When he walks in a room, is he
expect.
just big? Is he just so?
He's very tall and big, and everything's very deliberate.
Oh,
with
really?
What he does, yes.
Even in real life?
Yeah, but he's an absolutely lovely man with an absolutely lovely family.
What about Candace Bergen?
Oh, she was amazing. I didn't really interact a ton with her, but I got kind of starstruck every time I was in a room with her. But she's incredibly intelligent and incredibly classy, and yeah.
Kerry Washington.
Should be president.
Just because of her name?
No, because she's brilliant and so she's got this sort of drive and magnetism, and you're like, I don't know, she should be president.
Are all stars like that when you're in the room with them? Do they all have these really big personalities that you can feel in the room, or do some just turn it on when they're on stage?
I think there is a sort of phenomenon to celebrities, right? Like they got to be that way for a reason. And a lot of that's sort of what you bring to it, right? Like if you don't, if you didn't know who they were, it's like, is the tree falling in the woods and no one was there? So, who knows? Because it's something that you bring to that experience, like what you know of them and what you're sort of impressing on them.
Al Pacino.
Sure, very shy.
Wow.
Very, very nice.
He seems like he just slit your wrist.
No.
Slit your throat on
He's very kind of has a very kind of meek persona and very, very quiet and very, yeah.
And then the last one I got to ask you about, Angela Lansbury.
Like the dame. Just
the dame.
Class. Total class. And so smart. And
all these people are
sharp
smart.
as a tack. Oh my God.
Well, you've got to be smart to memorize the lines.
Yeah.
I can't even memorize a 30-second commercial. I have to have him stand over there with a cue card so I can read it. It's 30 seconds. How can you do 2 nights?
It's
2 hours.
It's definitely
every
a skill.
night for 2 hours.
Yeah, every day, 8 shows a week.
All right, we got to take another break. It's time. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Mr. Will Trice, Executive Artistic Director for the Arkansas Repertory Theater in downtown Little Rock. I want to remind everyone that we're broadcasting live every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time on 101 The Answer and Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy's Facebook page. And that after each show's airing, a podcast is made available on all popular listening sites and YouTube. Phone number for calling in if you want to ask Will a question when we come back.
Oh boy, there's questions? They never call in.
They never call in. I'll just tell Facebook. They never call in.
Call in! Don't worry, they never call in.
Do you New York?
Of course I say that.
Of course you say that, and then they'll start calling.
Turn down your headphones.
What? Oh, no, that was good until that one came on.
Okay.
We're back.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy, and I'm speaking today with Mr. Will Trice, Executive Artistic Director for the Arkansas Repertory Theater in downtown Little Rock. If you have a question you would like to ask, you may call Gray, given the number.
Call 501-823-0965.
One more time.
501-823-0965.
So before the break, we talked about living in New York. We talked about how Will learned about the rep and how it just evolved and how he's following destiny and that life's just led him right back home. Do people in New York know about the Repertory Theater? Does it have a good reputation?
It does. It's because there's a 43-year history of being in the League of Resident Theaters, and so yeah, I think it was known. I mean, it's not like right on the tip of everyone's tongue up there. It's not a because it's just geographically not nearby. But yeah, sure.
We get some really great actors that come down here to the Rep. I've seen some really great actors at
Yeah.
the Rep, and I've just thought, do those people know about the Rep? Is that why they're coming down here? Because they've heard about it?
I think we definitely have a good reputation among the actor community. We're sort of, I would say, at the lower end of the pay scale in terms of theaters.
Who's the guy that did Les Miserables that came down here and that sang that song so good?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
That
yes.
was before me.
He's come here a million times. Who is it, Gray? Oh my gosh, that guy is quality. And he came and he did his last year. He was on tour and he came here. And I thought, that guy's all pro. And he came to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, and every show we've got incredibly talented people from New York, from Chicago, from Little Rock often.
The education that it brings and the experience it brings to the citizens of Arkansas is really wonderful too. But let's talk about the Tony Awards just for one more second.
Okay.
So the Tony, so if you didn't hear, Will got 3 Tonys and nominated for 5, and you just don't know till they announce it to the world whether you're one of those people that's going to be nominated. But now you're at the Tony. Did you go to the Tonys?
Yes. I didn't. I went like 5.
Did you go the
5
year
times.
Patrick Neil Harris was there and he did some of his
I did, yeah.
the really outlandish one? I don't remember what year that
he
was.
He did a couple of them, but
He did
yeah,
a
I
couple of them.
saw one. I definitely saw one of the ones he hosted.
If people, you've got to go to the YouTube. You've got to go to YouTube and see. Is this Patrick Neil Harris?
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris, and see his opening number for the Tony Awards. It's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
It just
I
keeps
was there for
getting
that
bigger. No, you were not.
One. Yeah.
Oh, I bet you couldn't sleep for 2 days after that. That's one of those adrenaline rushes that, look, that's good. Okay, so are you in the audience and they call your name? And
Or
you
the
got
show's name.
I mean,
It's all
you call
about
the show's
show.
name.
Yeah.
And did you get to go up or did
Yeah.
you go up? You went up on the Tony
did.
Award stage?
I did.
On public?
I didn't speak. I sort of stood behind with the kind of
What year was
throngs of suits. It was 2012, 2013, and 2014.
that? What a run. Then did you just think, well, I'm just going to win every year?
Well, I honestly, then at a certain point, that's not why you're doing it.
I thought you were going to say at a certain point, it's just old hat. Who cares?
No, you're if it's in commercial theater, you're doing it to put on a good show, but also to make money.
What'd you do when you left that night? Where'd you go party?
The shows often have their own parties, particularly if they're sort of up for the big award. So
Did you stay
there
up
is
all night?
the Tonys themselves have a gala that you can opt into to do that. So I did that one year, but for the most part, go to our little show party and with the cast, and because they're usually there, the cast is usually there watching.
That's so fun. Let's talk about the future of the Rep. You said, and I quote, "I couldn't be more excited to join the Rep staff, board, supporters, and audience as we continue its rich tradition of entertaining and inspiring theater in Arkansas." You went on to say, "The way this organization has rallied over the past year shows how much the Rep is cherished, and it's an honor to have a role in mapping its future." What do you think people love about the Rep? Because you're going to have to identify that, and you're going to have to build off of it.
I think people love professional quality theater that's vibrant and engaging and immediate and intimate. And I think that we're the best providers of that.
Then why
here.
did ticket sales go down?
There's always going to be volatility when it comes to ticket sales, when it comes to something like that, which is why the kind of that 50% contribution portion is so vital, because without that sort of stability, that foundation of support, you can't withstand that volatility that's just natural. You know, that can be caused for all kinds of reasons. You know, like, let's say there's an ice storm that lasts for 2 months. Well, nobody's going to the theater then.
Or you put Shakespeare on. I can't stand to go see
A lot of people love it. Not everyone
no,
loves it.
I bet if you went and looked at ticket sales, they don't.
You know, and you know, certain shows are more popular with certain folks than others. You know,
Musicals are always popular.
they are often popular. There are some plays that are also popular. Generally, yes, musicals are more popular than straight plays. They're also more expensive to do, so it's a bigger risk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh, they're tremendously more expensive.
Why? Because you have to have an
more
orchestra?
people.
Orchestra.
Yeah. Or ensembles, you know, it's all we cost so much to operate because we're a very labor-driven business.
Well, that'll kill you. Because you can't get your labor from China.
No, and we also can't, you know, we're at a disadvantage to something like making a movie or a TV show. You know, you just have to make one of those once, and then you just continue to distribute it with
That's
little
right.
to no cost. Every time we do what we do, everyone's got to be there doing it. And we are limited to the number of people who are literally in the room. And, you know, that's also, though, why we're special. Like, that experiential nature of it is always going to be better, I think, than watching something on a screen on your couch.
You know, Chicago was what you opened up with this season.
Yes.
Dancers,
A band, you know, the principles of it. You know, it's so the musicals they're a big investment.
set design.
Mm-hmm.
It was good, though.
That was great. They were great.
So I took my grandson to see it because we watched it on TV, and then we went to see it. He liked those girls half dressed. He was 8 years old. He's just like, I like the plays.
They all like this. Sex and murder and
Yeah, that's right. Let's talk about the reps. You talk about how busy it is. Its season is year round. Is that correct?
roughly. I mean, it's generally around kind of a school year schedule. We are kind of experimenting now with also doing things in the summer. Mm-hmm. So, yes, to answer your question, we're basically
Would that interfere,
year-round.
if you did stuff in the summer, would it interfere with your SMITI educational? SMITI stands for summer.
So that actually doesn't exist anymore in that incarnation. We do still have a very active education program. Mm-hmm. It has sort of a different format. And
So if you did plays year round, would it mess with the children going on stage, or do you have another stage they'd go on?
We do have multiple performance spaces, and the education thing does have like a basically devoted performance space as well. But also, we have had like, for example, this past summer, we had a kind of education show. We did Willy Wonka Jr. It was one of the best things I've ever seen there.
What do you mean? Who did it?
The kids.
And it was one of your. Oh, I just love kids.
They were incredible.
They did a great show.
They were incredible. It was directed by Anna Kimmel, who's our education director, and it was a really, really great show. And so, there are also kind of opportunities to engage young artists in what we do on the main stage as well.
You have 70,000 patrons.
Well, sort of define the
Patrons.
time period.
I think these are annually.
Do you know what I mean?
377 seats in the theater.
Yes.
This one got me 200 nights of performances a year. And you're talking about doing it through the summer. To me, that would be smart because that's another income.
Yeah.
I mean, why not make money 3 months, every month out of the year? And then 45 world premieres. I don't know what those would have been.
I mean,
in the past,
they're all before me.
Yeah,
I can just off the top of my head, I know that they premiered the musical Because of Winn-Dixie a few years ago. Duncan Sheik wrote the score for.
Oh wow!
Who I later got to work with on American Psycho.
I love his music.
And going back to the mid '80s when they premiered a new musical of The Good Woman of Szechuan that was written by Michael Rice, who's from here and who's actually going to be music directing Bye Bye Birdie that we're doing next summer. So yeah, they do have a history of premiering new work.
All right, let's take one last break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Mr. Will Trice, Executive Artistic Director of the Arkansas Repertory Theater in downtown Little Rock.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly. Come and shop in our unique gift store. 'Tis the season to be jolly. We've got blends and poles and so much more. Jolly now our gay apparel, patriotic clothes and home decor. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol. We've got just what you are looking for. Come to flagandbanner.com for all of your Christmas decorations and gifts. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5:30, and Saturday, 10 to 4.
Oh, I love her. That is so adorable.
Hilarious.
I know. Shout out to Adrian who did that commercial.
She's a good sport.
She's a great sport. You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy. I'm speaking today with Mr. Will Trice, Executive Artistic Director of the Arkansas Repertory Theater in downtown Little Rock. Executive Artistic Director is a new position they made up for you. Am I correct?
Yeah, but it's not so much a new sort of function. It's kind of a combining and a sort of slight shifting of roles and responsibilities that were always there, which is just a different assignment.
So there's always been an artistic director. And when I think of an artistic director, I think of somebody that works with the set and the actors and decides on the shows and has this artistic influence. But when I think of an executive, I think of someone who's looking at the financial statements, looking at the bottom of the line, seeing where costs have gone up from prior years. Is that what you mean?
And so it's both. I would say a distinction from a sort of traditional artistic director is they would often direct productions themselves.
Do you do that?
No. At least not in the foreseeable future. And so, I do have artistic involvement in terms of, choosing the shows and choosing directors and people to work with. But it's not quite as hands-on to actually directing the shows myself.
Is every show directed by somebody different?
Yes.
All right, so 2020. When does this season end? In the spring?
So this current one, we're about to start performances for our final show of this year, which is It's a Wonderful Life, and then after the first of the year, we have a sort of mini season of shows that takes us through next summer, and then we'll start the clock back over again with our sort of traditional schedule of shows.
So the season is fall?
Yeah, it starts in the fall and kind of goes for a year. The one we're currently in right now, because of the shutdown, was programmed. It was this whole calendar year, which is not our norm. So that's why we're doing a little mini season next year to kind of get us back on track.
How far in advance do you plan your season?
I'm currently planning the 2021 season.
Right, because they won't let shows overlap with another show in town. Is that correct? So if somebody wanted to play It's a Wonderful Life, you're like, no, the reps got that, you can't have it.
So rights to the shows themselves are there are restrictions to that, so you don't cannibalize.
And do you think the rep gets first rights of everybody?
I think every sort of licensing house has different policies about that sort of thing. I know that, from their perspective, we generate more revenue.
How do they get paid?
But if a tour is out of a show, they're going to take precedence.
What do you mean if a tour is out of a show?
So, for example, Waitress is coming here in February. And those rights, that show's so new that those rights aren't available anywhere. But we're in an older show, but it just happened to have a tour they wouldn't let us do it, for example, because that tour's coming through, and that tour takes precedence because overall that tour is generating more income.
So they would do it on the performance stage at the Robinson Auditorium.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So because they're touring, they would bring it to the performance stage rather than let you do a production of it.
Right. So, yeah, because that tour is a production.
That's correct.
Right. And so that production, because it is a tour, is going to take precedence in terms of the rights.
So Robinson gets first pick of what goes around because they've got touring
or the road
rights.
in general.
Yeah, the road. And then you would be next.
Yeah, basically.
And then Murray's next, or Shakespeare.
I don't. Honestly, there's not that. I think when it gets to that level, there's not really a priority thing. I think it's whoever gets it first.
So it's whoever gets there first, which is why you're doing 21-21. I mean,
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I know what the Shakespeare folks are doing next summer, and we're friends. We all talk, and it's also not that it's a friendly community.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it a friendly community, or are there enough actors and actresses to go around?
Not for everything. And we wind up having to bring a lot of our artists in from New York or Chicago,
which is not cheap.
No.
Where do they stay?
We provide housing. That's kind of part of the deal. That's one of our largest expenses, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. So if we're ever able to cast someone locally for a role, we would much prefer that because we don't have to house them. But it's just a matter of the roles that we're looking to cast because they all have very specific requirements and are those is someone that's perfect for that here.
And it's great for the people in Little Rock to get to work with a professional that's come in from somewhere else, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's a great thing for our city. So what is your vision for the future? If you can have the rep, if you dream, and I know you dream, when you lay in your bed at night and you're about to fall asleep, or you wake up in the morning, you're laying in bed and you're dreaming about what you want the rep to be, what do you want it to be?
From a programming perspective?
From any perspective.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, sustainable, stable, which is really that's a tall order for any nonprofit theater in any city, but much less one the size of Little Rock. So yeah, first and foremost, the ability to
be sustainable. And what does sustainable look like?
It looks like us, reaching our goals on both the earned revenue ticket side and in the contributions, but particularly when it comes to the contributions, we have to have that.
You want to have
kind of philanthropy.
A lot of people, or is it just a few good people?
Oh, it's a mix. It's a mix. It's an ecosystem of contributors and of audience members.
And what do you want the stage and the performances to be like?
Entertaining.
Okay.
First and foremost.
Yeah.
Because not everything is. I'm not particularly, as a producer, I'm not particularly interested in devastating people.
What do you mean devastating?
Well, sending I won my second Tony for an amazing production of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Well, it's a 3-hour show about an alcoholic couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and maybe at some point we might do something like that. But it's not a good time. And I think particularly right now, I prioritize something like being entertaining, being a good time. Within that context, can we talk about things that we need to be talking about here? Can we also do things that are inspiring,
uplifting.
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful.
Is that weird?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Artistic.
Yeah, but I think first and foremost, it's got to be a good night out. Otherwise, what's the point?
What's a good night out look like?
It's dinner and a show and then a drink.
You
know
can't
what I
get
mean?
dinner downtown. That bugs me.
It bugs the. Yeah,
I love
bugs me to. Now, there's actually really good food within the vicinity, like
Before the play, but not after. You get out
They're-
at 9, you're ready for a drink and something to eat, and there's nothing open downtown.
Yeah, there's some good places a couple of blocks down when you get to that block where like Samantha's and Allsop and Chapel.
Past 9 o'clock?
Yeah. But you do have to walk a couple blocks to get there. I would love it if there was something right on our block that was a good place to grab a drink. We're actually, one of the things that we're actively exploring is making our own lobby and facility a place that you would stay and have a drink after the show.
I think that's a great idea.
So,
That's creative thinking.
requires a little capital, but so does everything.
Yes, but I think that's creative thinking. I'm glad you're thinking out of the box and trying to do it a little bit different. The same, but a little bit different. I've sure enjoyed meeting you, Will.
Same. Thank you for having me on.
Do we have a gift for Will?
Yes.
I wonder where it is.
I think it's sitting next to you.
Oh, it's over there. Okay, Will, you get a desk set for you to take back and put in your desk since you're an executive.
Oh my God! Look at all these flags.
So there's the base. This is the U.S. flag. It goes in the center, just in case you didn't know. It's always in the place
I
of
was a
position.
Boy Scout.
Oh, good. There's Arkansas,
Got it.
and there's New York. If I'd have known your husband was
in
from
New
Texas, I'd have
York.
given you
Wow.
a Texas
I don't
one,
know.
too.
Can Arkansas and Texas be in the same pedestal?
I don't know.
So are you going to let me give a short little plug for our upcoming season?
Yes, do it.
We've got 3 great shows coming up. The first one is Anne. It's a story about Governor Ann Richards of Texas, who was a
Love it.
hysterical woman. She's going to be played by a Tony winner, Emmy nominee, hysterical woman named Elizabeth Ashley. She was the star of a show called Evening Shade that was set in Arkansas. After that, we're doing The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. It was an adaptation of a best-selling book.
Yes.
A very visionary, very design-heavy show.
Is that a children's book? Or is that,
It's about a 15-year-old boy, but I'd say it's definitely also an adult show. And it's going to look like nothing we've ever done. And then in the summer, we're doing Bye Bye Birdie.
Everybody loves that one.
And it's going to feature playing the teens in that show. There's going to be an ensemble of local teens that are going to get to work right alongside, like you mentioned, the professionals that are playing the adults.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so that should be
I
really
want to see the Ann
fun.
Richards. What's the name of the Ann Richards?
It's called
one?
Anne. Yeah.
She was a character.
And I think the ultimate kind of bipartisan figure, a Democratic governor in Texas, like
true.
she brought people together and then did it with cracking one-liners right and left.
She did. She was great. I want to thank all our listeners for spending time with us today. We hope you've heard or learned something that's been inspiring or enlightening, and that whatever it is, will help you up your business, your independence, or your life. Thank you again, Will. I've really enjoyed meeting you. Get out and support the Arkansas Rep. Should you buy season tickets or individual tickets?
Season tickets are on sale right now. We'll put single tickets for each of the shows on sale closer to time, but right now you can go to therep.org and get a subscription and get the best deals and get free parking.
And do it before I talk him into raising ticket prices.
Even
therep.com. Get your tickets.
.org.
Therep.org. I'll see everybody next week. Until then, be brave and keep it up.
You've been listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy. For links to resources you heard discussed on today's show, go to flagandbanner.com, select Radio Show, and choose today's guest. All interviews are recorded and posted the following week. Subscribe to podcasts wherever you like to listen. Kerry's goal is simple: to help you live the American dream.